Hey, what's up, everyone? You are listening or watching the My Comic Book Journey podcast. I'm your host, KNDY. And for today's episode, we are going to be talking about The Incredible Hulk issue 330. This one was released back in April 1987. The cover date's April 1987. The actual release date was January 6, 1987. And this one featured Alan Milgrom as the artist and the inker. And the penciler was Todd McFarlane. So this is one of his earliest works. I believe this is before Todd would go to Amazing Spider-Man, I believe. I could be wrong about that. But this is one of his Incredible Hulk works while he was still at Marvel. And the colorist is Petra, Scotese. And letterer is Rick Parker. And the editor at the time is Bob Harras and Bobbie Chase. So this issue takes place after what happened with Rick Jones, trying to protect his mutated friends from S.H.I.E.L.D. And this continues on from that storyline. This time we are introduced to a new antagonist. There's always an antagonist every issue, it seems, with this run of The Incredible Hulk. But in this one, the antagonist is known as the Nevermind. So this one was really interesting. So the Nevermind is something that possesses people temporarily, and he always like a little skull, little spider that attaches to their head, and he pretty much he drains their power out pretty much until their death, but he needs to find a new host. So this one is the Nevermind. He is aware of who the Incredible Hulk is, and he wants to go to the area where they're located. And this is the thing that when I was reading this, is like, how would the Nevermind know that Hulk and all these characters were at this Nevada base, especially when S.H.I.E.L.D. is known for keeping things hush hush. We know that, with S.H.I.E.L.D. and all the other S.H.I.E.L.D. characters in the past. They're a very covert operation that tends to keep things quiet. So I don't know how this person found out, but he ends up going all the way to to Nevada, trying to search for Bruce Banner. Meanwhile, the Deus Thunderbolt Ross, Betty Banner's father, has woken up, recovered, and he still has that power of that Zizak in him. Zizak wasn't unable to possess him because S.H.I.E.L.D. actually injected him with something that prevents the Zizak from taking full control of him. But she tells him that he tells his daughter that his goal is to kill Rick Jones and Bruce Banner because they're the Hulks. Everyone knows he has a big hatred for the Hulk. Always has, right? Now, the only thing that really is bothersome about this issue, and you can see it from the cover right here with Betty Ross right there on the left. No, that's Bruce Banner. Betty Ross, she's not on the cover, sorry. But Betty Ross is a character that's always... She's in... as I talked about how Bruce Banner was in bad mental health, and then Rick Jones is kind of messed up right now because he feels lonely being the Hulk. Betty Banner is just really bad mental shape. Her marriage is falling apart because she hates the Hulk. Rick is the Hulk. Everything that has to do with a Hulk or monster, she has a hard time with it, and she just faints. And I don't even know how many times she faints in this issue. And I think in a way that I found it a little bothersome. because and it was a typical storyline of a woman in the 80s of how they're portrayed, weak, feeble-minded, and in this case, Betty, always fainting, crying, fainting. And in a way, I was kind of, reading, I was just getting tired of it, because I'm like, how many issues do we have to keep on reading with Betty always like this? And in a way, I've heard there were changes to her character, as of late. Isn't she like the Red Hulk now? Let me look this up here real quick. But, yeah, she's changed a lot now. Well, she was the Harpy, and then she became Red She-Hulk. So, I mean, hopefully they did something cool with her character. Made her much more responsible and strong. But I can tell you, back during this era of reading The Incredible Hulk, she was anything but. Always crying and fainting. But anyway, S.H.I.E.L.D. still feels that Bruce Banner's hiding details of who the Green Hulk is. They know that he knows more than he's letting on. And the Hulkbusters, which is John Larroquette, Craig Saunders, Armin Martel, and Hideko Takata, John Larroquette's the one that has sworn that he will do whatever he can to kill Bruce Banner for revenge for the death of their agent Carolyn Parmentor. But yeah, pretty much, they it starts off with the last issue with Rick Jones bringing Betty and Bruce back to the base. And while at the base, of course, that's when the Nevermind starts to, possess people to get towards the Hulk or somebody that is strong. And he ends up possessing Doc Samson. And for those who are not familiar with Doc Samson, he is a person that regains his superhuman strength, but he has the power. He has this. Well, I don't want to say the power and the strength, because he's very, very strong. It's just that he's not as strong as one would hope. I'm looking here, the gamma exposure. So I know Samson was developing a cathexis ray projector, and I think he got somehow he got it. Let's see here. I'm trying to remember how he got his power, but I'm not sure which issue that is. But yeah. His father specialized in treating young women and had affairs with them. Yeah, Samson is a psychologist. We know that. But yeah, he's an interesting character. He's always shown as this person with green hair and very strong and powerful. But yet, quite often, I've seen him get his butt kicked so many times. And I'm like, every time I say, you know what, I want to see actually Doc Samson really kick butt. But far often, it's the other way around. But I do know that in later issues, way into the future, they changed them to make him, much more powerful. And I know they made him Doc Sasquatch at one time. So I'm not sure if he's still like that, though. So okay, it's showing here that he's unable to return to his own body. So now, yeah, he has been now this Sasquatch-looking character. I don't know about that, because you have your original Sasquatch of Alpha Flight. But anyway, going back to this issue, Doc Samson, he possesses, Nevermind possesses Doc Samson, and he figured that, oh, you know what, he could use his power, but then he sees the Green Hulk, which is Rick Jones, and tries to he tries to make a plan of whose body he can take over. He needs something strong, something that won't easily wither away. And while trying to, for some reason, he was trying to go for Betty, and I figured that's why he felt that that's how he could get closer to Bruce Banner, is to go through Betty. And while he was aiming at Betty, her father did something heroic, and I think I'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. But I will say that this is it was a significant issue at the time, but not so much anymore, because no one really permanently dies in the Marvel Comics universe. It's I'm not sure. I'm looking here because okay, I'm just kind of curious about his return. Okay, so the leader. Okay, and I know we know that he's become the Red Hulk, but for the most part, Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, he saw Bruce, and even he saw Bruce trying to protect his daughter, and he wanted to do one selfless act to protect her, and unfortunately, he is the one that gets in the way of Nevermind, and Nevermind ends up possessing him. But what happens afterward, you got to read the story. It's actually, again, it's a very impactful issue of what happened at the time, which shocked many people. But at the same time, it's when you read a story in Marvel back then and you saw someone's death, that was the death that you kind of remember, and you're like, wow, that was really deep, or that was really messed up. But then, you could go to the Marvel fandom.com wiki pages and see how the characters have changed. Unlike DC with their reboots, somehow with Marvel, they just find a way to bring the characters back some weird, wild way, and maybe a supervillain experimenting on a character or something, but they manage to bring them back. And whether you dig that or not, it's really up to you. But I don't know. It's just the thing is, I thought it was really interesting to have Doc Samson being possessed, and then also to seeing Thunderbolt Ross back again, but then seeing what happens to him. And then you also have Betty being this frail, crying, faints every time she sees a monster type of thing, and it's just, I don't know. It's typical of Alan Milgrom's work. Alan tends to, back then, he used to do things, just for the sake of a storyline, something that's funny, something that's just really, something that's usually never done before. And I figured, you know what? I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, because it was actually a pretty good issue. And I think also you have, Todd McFarlane also doing the artwork. In a way, it's a very good story. Don't get me wrong. It's just that I just wish that they, the Betty Ross, the whole crying and fainting repetitive cycle, it just, I just wished it to be over. I think there's just too much of it. It's like almost every issue is like, how long are they going to keep this going? How many times do we have to see Betty faint and cry? Faint and cry, faint and cry, faint and cry. Yes, she does not like, she's happy that the Hulk is not, that Bruce is not turning to the Hulk as before. She thinks that he's rid of him, but at the same time, when she sees Rick Jones as a Hulk, or she sees anything discussed about the Hulk, it's just too much. But I did enjoy the issue. So, if anything, I will say that. I did enjoy it. just did not like the ongoing dramatization of Betty Ross's character of being so weak. So I think that's pretty much it for this issue. I think if anything, it's just more of I don't want to use the word grasping at straws or calling it a filler storyline, but again, something major does happen. So, but at the same time, you would think that Shield or even Doc Samson, you'd think they would have things a lot better, much better secure than this guy who can just travel by possessing bodies and easily infiltrating this base. It seems kind of far off, especially how we know how Nick Fury and Shield really is. So I don't know. Okay, that's pretty much it. The Incredible Hulk 330. That's my thoughts on this issue. You all take care, and I'll see you later. Wink, wink, and see you later, everyone. Bye-bye.